My beloved brothers and sisters, there comes a point in every person's life when the weight of the world feels like it's pressing down on their shoulders. When the pain, the confusion, the loss, the betrayal, whatever it may be, becomes so heavy, it feels impossible to carry. It is in those moments that you are faced with a choice. Either you crumble under the pressure, or you turn to the one who created the heavens and the earth, the one who never tires, the one who never sleeps, the one whose power has no limit, Allah. When Allah becomes your strength, your world changes entirely. Suddenly, what once seemed like mountains become as light as feathers. The impossible starts to look achievable. That crushing sorrow, it begins to ease. That uncertainty, it turns into clarity. And that fear, it transforms into hope. But how does that happen? How does a human being, fragile and weak by nature, find unshakable strength through Allah? One of the greatest gifts a person can receive in this life is the realization that they were never meant to carry the burdens of the world on their own shoulders. Many times we go through hardships thinking we are supposed to figure everything out, control every outcome, and fix every broken situation with our own hands, and when we fail, we feel like failures. But the truth is, you and I were never created to be in control of everything. We were created to turn to the one who is in control of all things. The moment you come to terms with this truth, life starts to feel lighter, not because the problems disappear, but because you begin to understand that the weight was never yours to carry alone. The one who made you, the one who fashioned every part of your being, the one who placed your heart inside your chest and caused it to beat even before you knew what life was, he knows exactly what you are going through. And he knows exactly how much you can handle. Sometimes when we go through pain, we wonder why it's happening to us. We question why the hardship had to strike us and not someone else. And we often say, I can't do this, it's too much. But the reality is, the one who created you knows your capacity better than you do. He knows your thoughts before you speak them. He knows your fears before you feel them. And he knows your breaking point even when you don't. So when he puts you through a test, it's not because he wants to see you fall. It's because he wants you to discover your own strength through him. He wants to raise you, not destroy you. And he will never burden a soul with more than it can bear. That is his promise. The reason why many people collapse under pressure is not because they are weak, but because they forget to rely on Allah during their moments of weakness. They try to fix everything with their own minds, fight every battle with their own hands, and find every solution through their own effort. But eventually the soul tires, the body grows weary, and the heart begins to tremble. That's when Allah reminds us, turn to me, I'm here. I never left you. And when you do turn to him sincerely, humbly, and truthfully, you begin to experience a strength that no human being can give you. Suddenly, what once brought you to tears now teaches you patience. What once made you restless now brings you closer to Allah. And what once seemed unbearable becomes the very reason your heart is elevated. You see, when a believer truly submits, they begin to understand that pain is not punishment. It is purification, it is preparation, it is realignment. It draws you away from the distractions of this world and brings you closer to your purpose. It breaks your attachment to people and things, and it reminds you that the only one you need is Allah, and that is strength. That is the kind of power no army can give you, no wealth can offer you, and no status can maintain. That is the strength of the heart that leans on its creator. Look at how a child behaves with their parent. When the child is hurt or scared, they run immediately to the one they trust most. They cry, they cling, and they don't care what others think. Why? Because they know that in the arms of the one they trust, they will find comfort. So what about you and me? Don't we know that Allah's mercy is greater than a mother's mercy for her child? Don't we believe that his love is more perfect than any love in this world? Then why do we delay turning to him? Why do we let ourselves drown in stress, anxiety, and hopelessness when we have access to the one who can bring peace with a single command? If a heart turns to Allah fully, it doesn't mean the pain will vanish instantly, but it does mean the pain will have a purpose, and that purpose is always to bring you closer to your Creator. How many times have we heard stories of people who hit rock bottom only to rise again with strength, wisdom, and a deeper connection with Allah? That is not a coincidence. That is divine intervention. That is what happens when you stop resisting and start submitting. That is what happens when you stop questioning and start trusting. And that is what happens when Allah becomes your strength. You begin to walk differently. You carry yourself with grace. You face challenges with patience. And you speak with calmness even when your heart is heavy. Because deep down, you know that your affairs are in the hands of the one who never makes a mistake. So when you look at your life and see broken dreams, failed plans, and unanswered prayers, don't think that Allah has abandoned you. Number. In fact, that is when He is closest to you. That is when He is preparing you for something far greater than what you imagined. You see, the human mind is limited. We think short term. We want immediate relief. But Allah sees the full picture. He knows what lies ahead. And sometimes the only way to get you to where you need to be is by first removing you from where you want to be. That detour you didn't plan for is part of His divine map. And when you trust Him, even the detours become blessings. Now, think about the strength of the heart that relies fully on Allah. This is not the kind of strength that comes and goes with people's praise or criticism. This is not the kind of strength that rises and falls with worldly success. No, this is the kind of strength that remains steady when the world turns upside down. It is built through constant remembrance of Allah, through prayer, through supplication, through reading the Quran, and through surrounding oneself with sincere people. And even when you feel alone, you remind yourself that Allah is always there, watching over you, guiding you, and writing your story with mercy and wisdom. But we must be honest. Sometimes when we're in pain, the last thing we want to do is pray. The last thing we feel like doing is making dua. We feel numb, empty, or even angry. But that is exactly when you should push yourself. Even if all you can say is, Ya Allah, help me. That simple cry, when it comes from the depths of the heart, is more powerful than the most eloquent speech. Because it shows humility, it shows surrender, and it shows that despite your pain, you still believe. And that belief is strength, that faith is strength, that trust is strength. And remember, strength in Islam is not about domination. It is not about how loud you are or how many followers you have. Real strength is in character. Real strength is when you can control your anger, forgive when you are wronged, be kind when you are hurt, and patient when you are tested. That is true strength. And all of it comes from Allah. We live in a time where people seek strength from fame, wealth, status, and connections. But all of these can vanish in an instant. The one who is praised today can be humiliated tomorrow. The one who is rich today can become bankrupt tomorrow. But the one who is connected to Allah remains firm, because that connection does not depend on circumstances. It depends on sincerity. It depends on consistency. And it depends on the heart. When a person truly makes Allah their strength, they stop being fearful of what people think. They stop being obsessed with pleasing everyone. They no longer feel the need to prove themselves to the world. Because they know that their worth does not come from the world. It comes from their relationship with Allah. And when Allah is pleased with you, you have succeeded, even if the whole world misunderstands you. So my brothers and sisters, let your heart find peace in knowing that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to be in control of everything. You don't need to be strong all the time. You just need to stay close to the one who is always strong. And when that happens, you will witness miracles in your life. You will see how Allah carries you through what once seemed impossible. And you will feel a calmness that the world cannot understand. Because when Allah becomes your strength, nothing can shake you, not even your own fears. And don't ever compare your journey to someone else's. Your path is unique, your tests are tailor-made for you, and your strength will develop in ways that are perfectly suited to your soul. The goal is not to look strong in front of people. The goal is to be strong in front of Allah. And He sees what no one else sees. He knows the battles you fight in silence. And He will reward you for every tear, every prayer, and every moment of trust. Because when you put your full trust in Him, He will never disappoint you. Life often reaches a point where you feel like your strength is not enough. You've tried every method, knocked on every door, exhausted every option, and yet nothing seems to be working. You begin to question your worth, your purpose, your ability. You lie awake at night wondering how long this storm will last. And at that moment, when your resources have run dry, when your patience is stretched thin, when your hands fall to your sides in helplessness, this is precisely where the mercy of Allah begins. It is not a weakness to break down. It is not a failure to feel like you can no longer go on. In fact, this breaking point is the very door to discovering who you really are, and more importantly, who your Lord is. Because when your power ends, that is where Allah's power begins. We live in a world that praises independence, self-sufficiency and control. We are taught that needing help is a sign of weakness, that admitting you can't do something on your own means you've failed. But in the eyes of your Creator, the exact opposite is true. The most powerful moment in your life is not when you declare, I've got this, but when you declare, oh Allah, I can't do this without you. That moment of surrender is not a moment of defeat, it is a moment of elevation. Because now you've placed your trust in the one who never fails. You've submitted your affairs to the one who controls every outcome. You've taken your burden and placed it in the hands of the one whose knowledge, wisdom and mercy are beyond your imagination. And this, my brothers and sisters, is the moment where miracles begin. When you let go of the illusion that you are in control and you turn sincerely to the one who is truly in control, you will experience a transformation within. You will begin to see how the doors you thought were locked are opened without keys. You will witness how situations you thought would never change suddenly turn around. And you will feel a calmness in your heart, not because the problem has vanished, but because you now know that it is not your battle to fight alone. You are not alone in your struggle. You are never alone when you place your trust in Allah. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. And He can do what you cannot do. There are moments in life when your intellect fails, your plans fall apart, and your strength is gone. And in those moments the whisper may come to you, why is this happening? Why am I not being helped? Where is the mercy I was promised? But do not let that whisper enter your heart. Remind yourself that your Lord has not abandoned you. He is testing you in order to purify you. He is putting you through hardship so you can taste the sweetness of relief. He is removing from your life the things that distract you so that you may focus fully on Him. When the pain is at its peak and the darkness seems overwhelming, that is often the moment just before the dawn. And Allah is always near, so near that He hears the whispers of your heart that you have not shared with anyone, so near that even your silent tears are recorded, valued and rewarded. And this is where we must shift our understanding of strength. Strength is not measured by how much you can carry. It is measured by how firmly you can hold on to Allah when everything else is falling apart. The person who appears strong on the outside may be crumbling on the inside if they are disconnected from their Lord. But the one who is connected to Allah, even if the world sees them as weak, possesses a strength that cannot be measured, because that strength does not come from the limbs, it comes from the heart. It is rooted in certainty, in reliance, in unshakable belief that Allah will never let you down. When you face difficulties, there is a natural tendency to panic, to overthink, to become consumed by fear. But the believer has been given a secret weapon. That weapon is dua. That weapon is sajda. That weapon is tawakkul. When you turn to Allah with a broken heart, you are doing something far more powerful than any worldly solution. You are calling upon the Creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who can say be and it is, the one who knows what is in the womb and what is in your future, the one who never sleeps, never forgets and never fails. So instead of being overwhelmed by the storm, turn your heart to the one who controls the wind. Instead of drowning in fear, anchor your soul with the remembrance of Allah. Instead of waiting for someone else to fix your life, raise your hands and ask the one who can fix anything. And never underestimate the power of sincere dua. There are people who have been saved from calamities, granted relief, and lifted out of despair simply because they whispered a heartfelt Ya Allah in the quiet of the night. That is the beauty of our connection with Him. No appointment is needed. No permission is required. Just call Him and He will respond in the way that is best for you. And this is why dhikr is so essential. The heart that beats with the remembrance of Allah is a heart that can never truly break. Yes, it may feel sadness. Yes, it may experience pain, but it will never fall into hopelessness. Because every time the pain becomes heavy, the heart finds its refuge in dhikr. Every time the world disappoints, the tongue says Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. These are not just words, these are shields. They are like spiritual oxygen. They remind you that your Lord is greater than your pain, that His plan is better than your dreams, and that His wisdom exceeds your understanding. When you make dhikr, you are doing more than remembering Allah. You are actively reinforcing your heart. You are strengthening your soul. You are placing yourself under divine protection. The one who constantly remembers Allah walks with an aura of calmness, of patience, of quiet strength. You see it in their speech. You see it in their actions. You see it in the way they handle loss and disappointment. They are not perfect, but they are anchored, because their strength does not come from themselves. It comes from the one who is Al-Qawi, the most powerful. And even in the quiet moments of life, when no one is watching, when the world is busy chasing its goals and distractions, the believer remembers Allah. In traffic, in the kitchen, at the workplace, in the waiting room, their tongue whispers His name, and with every repetition the heart becomes softer, stronger, and more connected. This connection is not just an act of worship, it is a lifeline. It is what separates the one who sinks in hardship from the one who floats above it. Imagine the peace of the one who says, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, when facing adversity. That person has just placed all of their affairs in the hands of Allah. And when you do that, when you truly do that from the heart, you will feel a strength that you never thought you had. You will walk through the fire and come out without burns. You will face the storm and remain firm. Because your trust is not in the means. It is in the one who controls the means. And that kind of strength is invincible. But don't expect the strength to come overnight. It takes practice. It takes sincerity. It takes a real effort to build your connection with Allah. You have to feed your soul the way you feed your body. You have to nurture your faith the way you nurture your relationships. And the best way to do that is to be consistent in dhikr, even if it's just a few moments every day. You'll notice over time that your reactions to hardship change. You'll stop panicking and start praying. You'll stop complaining and start making dua. You'll stop fearing and start trusting. And all of this comes from the heart that is constantly connected to Allah. So don't wait for a crisis to turn to your Lord. Make remembrance a daily habit. Make dua a regular companion. Make tawakkul your constant mindset. And you will find that the things which used to overwhelm you no longer have the same power over you. Not because the problems are smaller, but because your heart has become stronger. And it has become stronger because it is filled with the name of Allah. And if you ever doubt the power of dhikr, just look at the stories of those who came before us. They faced unimaginable difficulties, but their strength came from their remembrance. Whether it was in the belly of a whale, in the middle of a desert, or on the battlefield, they turned to Allah. And Allah never let them down. He never ignored their calls. He never left them helpless. Because those who remember Him sincerely are never forgotten by Him. Sometimes in life we come to a realization that no matter how much we try to please people, no matter how much good we do, there will still be those who find faults in us, who misjudge our intentions, and who fail to appreciate our efforts. This world is filled with opinions, assumptions, judgments, and expectations. But if you allow the weight of people's perceptions to burden your heart, you will never find peace. There is only one opinion that truly matters, and that is the opinion of your Creator. When your focus shifts from pleasing people to pleasing Allah, something beautiful begins to happen within you. Your heart becomes lighter, your purpose becomes clearer, and your soul begins to taste a peace that this world cannot offer. Because when you live to seek the pleasure of Allah, He brings the right people into your life and distances you from those who bring harm. He places tranquility in your heart that is not dependent on the validation of others. You no longer measure your success by the applause of the crowd, but by the contentment you feel in your heart when you know you've done what's right, even if nobody sees it. There is great wisdom in detaching from the need for constant recognition, because the one who sees you in secret will reward you openly. The one who knows your struggles, your sacrifices, and your intentions will never let your efforts go to waste. This is why sincerity is so powerful. When you do something purely for the sake of Allah, you are planting seeds that will grow even if no one else ever acknowledges them. You are building something eternal, something meaningful, something that brings you closer to your Lord. And sometimes it is through being unnoticed by people that you become more noticed by Allah. When you cry alone at night, when you give in charity without anyone knowing, when you forgive someone who doesn't even ask for forgiveness, these are the actions that weigh heavily on the scale, even if the world deems them insignificant. So do not be discouraged when people fail to appreciate you. Remember that even the prophets were rejected by their own people. Even the most beloved of Allah faced criticism, mockery, and opposition. But they never let that stop them from fulfilling their mission. They continued to speak the truth, to remain steadfast, and to trust that their reward was with Allah, not with people. When you learn to live with that kind of clarity, you protect your heart from becoming bitter, from being consumed by resentment, from losing hope. You begin to realize that every insult is a test of your character, every false accusation is a test of your patience, and every rejection is a redirection from Allah to something better. We must also understand that the need for constant validation is a trap of the soul. It creates anxiety, it disturbs your peace, and it prevents you from being your true self. Because when you are always adjusting your actions to please people, you lose sight of who you really are and what truly matters. But when your heart is focused on pleasing Allah, you walk a path of sincerity. You begin to understand that being real is more valuable than being popular, that doing what's right is more important than doing what's trendy, that standing for truth even when it's difficult is more rewarding than following the crowd for temporary applause. And what about those moments when people turn away from you, when friends abandon you, when family misunderstands you, when you feel isolated in your journey of faith? Those moments are not signs of failure. They are signs that Allah is calling you to turn more deeply to Him. Sometimes He removes people from your life so that you can learn to rely on Him alone. Sometimes He allows your heart to be broken so that He can rebuild it in a way that's stronger and more connected to Him. These tests are not punishments. They are invitations, opportunities to grow, to purify your soul, to elevate your rank. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what does my Lord want me to learn from this? It is also important to realize that peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of Allah in your heart, even when problems surround you. You can be going through the most difficult phase of your life, and yet if your connection with Allah is strong, your soul can still be at ease. That peace is not dependent on your external circumstances. It is dependent on the state of your heart. And the heart that remembers Allah consistently is a heart that cannot be destroyed by the chaos of the world. That's why the remembrance of Allah is not just a ritual, it is a refuge. It is your protection, your nourishment, your healing. When you say La ilaha illallah with full conviction, you are not just uttering words. You are declaring that nothing is worthy of your absolute trust, your hope, your devotion except Allah. And now, my brothers and sisters, let us reflect on another deep truth. Nothing in this life happens without purpose. Every moment of pain, every delay, every hardship, every unanswered prayer, it all serves a higher wisdom. Sometimes we don't understand it at the moment, but with time and reflection, we see how even the setbacks were blessings in disguise, how the rejection you faced pushed you towards something greater, how the loss you endured made you more compassionate, how the delay in your plans gave you time to mature and grow. Allah is never absent from your story. He is writing every chapter with knowledge, wisdom, and mercy, and He knows you better than you know yourself. So if you've ever wondered why your dua hasn't been answered yet, why you're still waiting for a breakthrough, why your situation hasn't changed, remember that delay is not denial. Allah responds to every dua, but sometimes the answer is not yet. And sometimes the answer is something better than what you asked for, because He sees what you do not see. You might ask for something that looks good on the outside but is harmful on the inside, and in His mercy He protects you from it. But in our limited understanding, we see only the surface. We become impatient, we question, we lose hope. That's why trust is so essential. Trust that your Lord knows exactly when and how to respond. Trust that your efforts are not being ignored. Trust that the tears you shed are not in vain. This trust is not passive. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you do your best and then you surrender the results to Allah. It means you work with sincerity and then you leave the outcome in His hands. It means you stop obsessing over the timeline and start focusing on your connection with the one who controls time. When you truly trust Allah, your heart is no longer shaken by every delay, every challenge, every disappointment. Because you know that whatever is meant for you will come, and whatever is not meant for you will pass you by, no matter how much you chase it. And this mindset brings a deep sense of contentment. You stop comparing your life to others. You stop feeling envious of those who seem to have it all. Because you understand that everyone's journey is different. What's written for you will never go to someone else. And what goes to someone else was never meant for you. This understanding frees you from so much unnecessary pain. It helps you focus on your own path, your own growth, your own connection with Allah. And it reminds you that your worth is not defined by your achievements or your possessions, but by your sincerity, your patience, and your taqwa. So the next time you feel forgotten, remind yourself that you are remembered by Allah. The next time you feel lost, remind yourself that He is the best of guides. The next time you feel broken, remind yourself that He is the one who heals. The next time you feel weak, remind yourself that true strength comes from Him. And never think that your struggles are meaningless. Every tear you shed is known to Him. Every silent prayer is heard by Him. Every time you put your trust in Him, you are walking a path that leads to peace in this world and reward in the next. My brothers and sisters, this life is not supposed to be perfect. It is a journey of trials, lessons, growth, and purification. It is a temporary stop on the way to an eternal home. So don't let the imperfections of this world shake your faith.